The following program may contain coarse language, violence, nudity, mature subject matter, or scenes which may not be suitable for all viewers. Viewer discretion is advised.
All Hit Radio.
Welcome to the X Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
And welcome back to the X Zone, everyone. We're coming to you from our broadcast center in our studios in St. Catharines, Ontario, Canada, and we're coming to you tonight around the world on the Talkstar Radio Network, Mutual Broadcast Network, the X Zone Broadcast Network, and of course, Channel 32, Simul TV at www.simultv.com. Wow, what can I say about our next guest? We've had this young lady on the show for many years. She's a good friend of the X Zone Nation. I'm talking about Dr. Shelley Kaehr. And she is a past life regression specialist, ancient healing with her genealogical regression process and energy healing. And her website is pastlifelady.com. Joining me now from somewhere way down south, I believe it's in Texas, is Dr. Shelley Kaehr. And hey, Shelley, how are you?
Hey, Rob, it's so great to see you.
Nice seeing you too. So where are you these days? Are you down in Texas?
Yeah, I'm in the Dallas area.
Ah, busy lady. You've got a new book out, I see.
Yes.
First of all, tell our listeners about yourself.
Yeah, I am a past life regression expert, I suspect at this point. I've been doing it so long. I also do a lot with energy healing. I write a lot of books about gems and stones, but the last several years, I finally have published several books about my over 20 plus years as a past life regressionist. 20
years. How did you get started with past life regression? Like, you must have started this when you were 2-3 years old.
Oh my gosh, you are too kind. I heard about it when I was a kid, first from my mother, who attended a luncheon where she met this woman who was the subject of this really famous book called The Search for Bridie Murphy. She actually met the woman, brought the book home. We talked about it when I was a kid. And then I got into it in my 20s after I had a regression, after a friend was killed in an accident. And I found it very transformational.
What was it like the first time you actually were able to regress someone into their past lives and this door to history that was locked inside this person was opened up to you?
It was really, it's really interesting. It's still interesting now, but the first time you realize, wait a minute, we have these dormant memories that are in all of us. And if the right questions are asked, then you do unlock the door to a lot of different information about the soul. It is really amazing.
How do you take someone back? Is it like we see on TV where the hypnotist puts somebody into a hypnotic spell where they can actually make them cluck like a chicken or walk like a duck? Or is that just TV? What's the real regression like, Shelley?
I think that if someone wants to cluck like a chicken and all that, then they will. There he is. Here he is, Rob, making it happen right now on the X Zone Nation. What's up? Yes, if you're prone to that, which apparently Rob is, yes. But, you're actually just you're relaxing the brain waves. You're actually in more control than you are in waking consciousness. So, you do what you want to do.
But how do you get someone who is a stranger to you, I would imagine for the most part, to give you that, or to have that trust in you where they actually relax to the point where you're actually able to interact and basically take control of their inner consciousness, so to speak?
I've always had a pretty high success rate with the people I've worked with. They do trust me. The thing is, though, they are still in charge. I feel like I'm a tour guide of their own mind. I'm just going to take them through. I always say, I'm like a guided meditation CD, only I'm going to talk to you and personally rather than just, having you listen to something passively. And so we can interact and things like that. And then when I'm asking them questions about what they're experiencing, I try to get people to explain, are you seeing something or are you just feeling it? Are you having the inner voice? Because I think a lot of people assume, well, if I can't see things, if I'm not a visual person, then, of course I can't do this, but that's simply not true. I was always a more kinesthetic person. I felt things, or I had inner knowing. And so I try to coach these other modalities out of people so that they have a result and they can utilize the talents that they have individually, because everybody's different about how we all receive that kind of information.
It almost sounds as if these people have this story inside that wants to get up, but they may not know that they have the story, and you give them that opportunity to open up that part of their past lives that they want to talk about, because there might be something in their past life that is holding them back in a certain genre of this life. Am I close?
Yeah, it reminds me of an article I wrote many years ago called Stories We Tell. So the client has an issue normally. I mean, sometimes maybe we're just curious, but
Right.
sometimes there's an issue. It's relationships. It might be, some relationship. They want to know how they know somebody, for example. That's one of many things. And so we're going to go back. I'm going to ask them to go back to the origin point, like the most significant time when they knew this person, or the time that would give them the most insights. And so once they get into that space, if I say, well, okay, great. So what were you doing back there in the 1600s, Rob? And you say, wow, this is weird. I'm seeing this and this and this. Okay, great. Well, how is that, applying to what you're doing in your current life? Or how is it different? Or if it's a relationship, how is that relationship either the same or different than what we're doing now? And so if we identify something in the past and they go, wow, you know what? I'm doing the same thing back then that I'm doing now. And so if that thing that you're doing is great and good and you like it, then we call it a soul gift and you want to do more of it. So we try to talk about how we can do that. But if it's what I would call an unwanted influence or something that we're trying to release, then we do healing, blessing, cutting cords, talking to the higher selves or the soul essence of people, and doing a lot of forgiveness and coming into a different place, like just taking a problem and now looking at it from a completely different perspective can make really fast, amazing impacts on people.
How is it that when a brand new baby is born, later on in life, they start having this recall? Like, do we bring our past lives with us?
We do. And there are now many case studies about kids. I heard people talk to me about this all the time. I heard from somebody just recently, their granddaughter was saying some things about how they knew each other before in Egypt and stuff. So, I think when kids are still young, they're very unfiltered. Most of the time, the parents might say, hey, come on, honey, that sounds crazy. We're trying to go to church today. Let's kind of knock that off. Or eventually, even if their parents just said, oh, well, that's nice, they'll talk to them and just entertain the conversation. It seems that there's a certain point when the child gets to be a certain age where that openness kind of closes off, whether they've been encouraged or not, and they just go on about their lives, because there's so many things we have to, the brain has to process all the things we're dealing with in the current life, that it's almost like this just gets, buried, and it's a dormant memory.
It must be very confusing and frightening for people who have flashbacks of a previous life and they don't know why.
With the kids, the ones that I've heard of from people telling me about it, the child doesn't normally seem to be very afraid of it at all. They'll just be kind of real matter of the fact, like, well, guess what? I used to know you when you were little and I was big, and just blah, blah, blah. Like, this is just the most normal thing that they've ever talked about in their lives. Whereas I think it's the adults that are going, oh my gosh, what am I going to do with this kid?
Yeah, exactly.
So it's interesting.
Well, simply you take the kid down to the local psychologist, get them a prescription for Ritalin, and away you go. It's problem solved. No. Not at all. How is it then that with all the people that are born and all the people that die each and every day, that two people are able to have lives together? For example, the young girl who had the experience of knowing this other person back in Egypt in a previous life. How does that work? Like, the odds of this happening seem to be way out of the ballpark.
The longer I live, and I think you and I are always pretty much on the same page. The
Mhm.
more I realize I don't actually know anything about anything. And so
Wow.
I don't really know how this works. I mean, I think even the modality of past life regression, I try to come at it that this is a healing modality. So it's kind of like a little talk therapy where, as you mentioned earlier, we're going to tell ourselves a story.
Mhm.
And I do believe in reincarnation, but yet how does that work? Like, it's like a game, let's say, but we don't exactly know what the rule book is. I don't really think that any human being is going to exactly know what that rule book might be until we've
Right.
crossed over, you know? So I think it's
So
up for grabs.
so if we don't know how it works and there are so many questions about it, how do we know it's real?
I think the results have to speak for themselves.
Mhm.
For me, if it's like when I had my first regression, I had a friend who died. I'm carrying around all this grief for years. I go and I realize, hey, guess what? We've known each other before. He's always checking out early. Every soul has a path. I got this whole message and I went, wow, you know what? I don't have to feel like this anymore. I don't have to feel as horrible anymore. I can let this go now. I can look at this horrible thing from a different perspective. And it was just like something just got up and left. I felt better. And I think it really has to do with the inner shift that we
Mhm.
can make so quickly if we're open to it in how we're viewing reality, because a lot of our suffering is really based on how we're viewing reality. So if it makes us feel better and it's, you know, if it's not harming anyone and it's just
Sure.
making us feel better about a situation, then that's when I'm all for it.
You and me both, my friend. Exonation, Dr. Shelley Kaehr is our special guest. Her website is the Past Life Lady. And the good Dr. Shelley Kaehr will be back with us when we return after this short break as we continue here in the Exome from our broadcast center and studios in St. Catharines, Ontario, Canada. And the Exome is being brought to you tonight by our friends at Beautiful Mind Coffee, www.beautifulmindcoffee.ca. It's believe me or not, just what the doctor ordered. We'll be back on the other side of this break. Don't go away.
Question: what is the name of the unique blend of coffee you get that has been formulated by a neurologist, a neurobiologist, and a pharmaceutical chemist? Answer: you get Beautiful Mind Coffee, a unique coffee blend that tastes great and has herbal ingredients that your brain will love, and it is not just coffee, it's brainalicious. Dr. Rathbone, Dr. Jang, and Dr. Winslow, the scientific team that created Beautiful Mind Coffee, decided to collaborate on a coffee focusing on brain health. As for those herbal ingredients found in Beautiful Mind Coffee, Dr. Rathbone, Dr. Jang, and Dr. Winslow, utilizing their combined extensive scientific research background, worked with many natural and herbal products until the exact formulation that is found in Beautiful Mind Coffee was created. With a unique scientific formula not found in any other coffee being sold or served, Beautiful Mind Coffee is the only coffee blend that contains 3 herbal ingredients found to aid in boosting your daily mental clarity and focus. Every cup of Beautiful Mind Coffee contains scientifically formulated amounts of maca root powder, green tea extract, and American ginseng, all supporting good brain health. Taking care of your brain's health now can help delay or prevent the onset of cognitive dysfunction, including dementia, Alzheimer's, and more general memory loss as you get older, just by enjoying the delicious flavor of our roasted coffee and herbal ingredients found exclusively in Beautiful Mind Coffee. Did you know that cognitive dysfunction also refers to deficits in attention, verbal and non-verbal learning, short-term and working memory, visual and auditory processing, problem-solving, processing speed, and motor functioning? For more on Beautiful Mind Coffee, the 3 scientists who formulated Beautiful Mind Coffee, and more details on the 3 unique herbal ingredients in Beautiful Mind Coffee, visit www.beautifulmindcoffee.ca. Beautiful Mind Coffee is now available online at amazon.ca and amazon.com. To order Beautiful Mind Coffee, visit www.beautifulmindcoffee.ca today.
Welcome back, everyone. Dr. Shelley Kaehr is our special guest, pastlifelady.com. Shelley, you've got a new book out called, Past Lives in Ancient Lands and Other Worlds. Tell us about it.
Yes,
Interesting title, Other
it
Worlds?
is. Yes, Other Worlds. Well, it's exactly what in novel writing, they say the promise of the premise. There are ancient lands in this book and other worlds. And so this is a book that's filled with the first half. We're going into the ancient world, starting with prehistory, moving off into like hunter-gatherers, Mesopotamia, Egypt, of course, Greece, etc. And then the second half goes into some far out material.
How does this book differ from the other books that you've written over the years?
I'm really interested in helping individuals who are reading material to remember their own past lives, even by just engaging with content. So that could be content they're seeing on the Discovery Channel, on the X Zone TV, or in this case, through the book. So each section in the historical part, I get into some history lesson, like a brief history lesson at the beginning of the chapter, sprinkled in with a few case histories that I've done. And then I'm taking readers through some different guided imagery exercises and things to start bringing awareness to the mind, like which places sound interesting and intriguing, which are making me say, no, I don't like this at all. So by the end of the book, the individual then can decide which ancient land or other world they'd like to explore, so that you can learn more about your own soul journey over the course of time.
I was wondering if you could tell us about some of the ancient lands that you discuss.
Yes. So what's been interesting about this book also is that normally over the course of many years, people would go back to lives that they had maybe in the 1900s or the 16 or 1700s. So I have collected these case histories of some of the most ancient times. And so there's case histories of clients in prehistory. And a lot of these have themes of people who are as I mentioned in the first break, people will typically have an issue, and now we want to go back to the source event or the origin point of certain issues. And so these are sometimes very fear-based. Maybe they're trying to let go of fear, and they realize, well, maybe that fear originated when they were, fighting to survive in some prehistorical setting. So that's an interesting thing. And then the reader can do some healing around letting go of fears. Some fears are good to keep us safe. Some need to be released. And then for the first time, I dove into Mesopotamia. And one of the things that's been on my mind is, that hasn't been a place that many people have reported on over the years that I've been doing this. They hit the high notes of like Greece or Egypt or something like that. And I think that because of content that we see in the mainstream media now, we see more documentaries. I've got case histories in this book for the first time about the Persian Empire. That's another one. We don't get to go to those areas now because it's very tumultuous, but we're seeing some really amazing filmmakers who are making just revolutionary documentaries about this place. And when we see it, we can engage at a soul level, and something can go, wow, there's something really compelling about that. And so I'm starting to hear more people reporting about that. And of course, I always encounter a lot of ancient Egyptians because, I love Egypt, and so do a lot of, I'm sure, the Exo Nation. There's tons of people. We've been around that material our whole lives, whether we saw it in a book or we got to see the King Tut exhibit when it came to your city. So it's very, very popular. Greece, Rome, which is very interesting. So it was fun to dig in and actually write brief histories for people. It's very complicated, but I wanted to kind of write a history book a little bit and hopefully entertain while we're doing all this, because we have to have fun.
Sure. How far back is your furthest story or your furthest case that you talk about in your book?
This gets into the other world section in part 2 of the book. I get into some of the lost civilizations such as Atlantis and Lemuria. But even before that, there is a space that some clients access that I call before the before, that is so early, where people are literally traveling back in time to what they would describe as being one with the universe. They're just in cosmic consciousness. And this can be very helpful for people if they're feeling down or depressed, disconnected, which unfortunately so many people are. So there's a guided journey in the book that can help people go back and just connect to this feeling of being loved unconditionally and really being connected to things at a soul level can be very, very helpful.
Has anyone ever talked about being when they're regressed, or that the research you've done that they remembered Neanderthal times?
Yes, there's some of that in the prehistorical section. There's little snippets of case studies. I've done it a little bit different in this book than in others, but if people talking about just struggling to survive, or their mate has just died and now they don't know how they're going to feed themselves, or they're trying to get the fire started, and very, very primitive settings. Very, very interesting stuff.
I'm sure there's a lot of people wondering, well, how do we know this isn't just some way to cope with grief? That this is all it is. It's our mind filling in the blanks, the pareidolia effect.
It's a great point, and it's really something that I get asked all the time. And as I mentioned earlier, I mean, I don't know for sure. There's really no way to prove or disprove. There are past life researchers who are able to go prove certain things about people who lived in more recent times. But a lot of this, we could say, well, even when I've gone through this process myself, sometimes I go, wow, it feels like I'm making this up. Where is this stuff coming from? But sometimes I think, well, if I was making it up, I don't even think I would have made this stuff up. So I just feel like it's coming from somewhere. And again, if it's some kind of subconscious expression of a story that I can tell that makes me feel better in the now and makes sense of a problem I'm having so that I can solve those problems in a new way, again, it works.
What was your favorite part about writing your book?
I have always wanted to write a book where we dive into some of these far out places. And I really liked doing the other world stuff. I do regress a lot of people who believe that they lived in Atlantis and in Lemuria. And, there's a few case histories in there of people who were in spaceships and things like that. So it's pretty interesting stuff. I like all the far out stuff. My publisher is Lou Allen, who I love. I really wanted the book to be historically put together with the before, and then Lemuria, and then Atlantis, and then we go into prehistory, but they wanted me to put them off into this other world section. So I consider Lemuria and Atlantis to be real. Again, not through any evidence, but just more through a feeling that I have about it. So I have to say that it was super fun to put it together. And it's just something that I've always wanted to write a book like this. I want people to just dive in and just see what is resonating with them on this one.
When it comes to Atlantis, and Lemuria, it seems that the majority of people who talk about past lives, they always talk about Lemuria, they talk about Atlantis, and of course, Egypt. They seem to be the three top topics that people discuss when talking about past lives. Why?
I do know why, I think. I've written now 3 books for the Edgar Cayce Foundation on Edgar Cayce's Sacred Stones and the Edgar Cayce's Egyptian Energy Healing. And I really believe that we cannot underestimate the influence that the Cayce life readings have had on the popular culture. I think that, of course, Plato wrote about Atlantis. It was a couple of lines and a couple of his dialogues. And then it was Madame Blavatsky got into it and others. But really, Edgar Cayce, I think, really perpetuated this idea when he talked about these 3 halls of records that are going to be found. They haven't been found yet, but he said that once they're found, these records about Atlantis are going to be here, and we're going to prove this. And then he read for people who he said lived in the civilization that predated Atlantis, which was Lemuria. And because of the books that I've written for them, naturally then I do draw in a lot of these Egyptians, Atlanteans, and Lemurians, because of course Cayce also talked about his past life as the high priest Ra-Ta in ancient Egypt. So, and that material has just gone out to millions of people around the world. And so I think it has made an indelible mark on the popular culture. And again, because we don't remember unless we have been exposed to it from somewhere. And
yes and no. Yeah, yes and no, because the neuroscience is telling us that even though we don't think we're paying attention to what's going on around us, that we are, and everything's being recorded. And if somebody's watching the Discovery Channel, TLC, and even though they're not, say they're sitting back playing with their iPhone, just chilling out, they are actually paying attention to the show, and it can resonate within them in their inner mind. Edgar Casey, he is he's a gentleman who a lot of people respect, but there are those who believe he was a charlatan, just like Blavatsky was. So how do we, the gatekeepers of knowledge, so to speak, give them credibility when nothing that they talked about could be proven then or can be proven now?
I mean, it's a good question. I think that I agree with what you said also, though, about the passive information that goes into the brain while we're sitting here. It's going straight into the mind. And so how that all gets churned around and processed is definitely up for grabs, for sure. I think with all of these sources, even things that are coming out in more modern times, we have to just take the best, leave the rest. Some things you look at and you go, no, I don't think so. And other things, like even on a conscious level, I got interested in the KC work. I don't even understand at a conscious level how that even happens sometimes. I just always, every time I would look at some of it, it would just stir up some aspect of my, I don't know, imagination, or I would have ideas come to me. I don't know. It was been very inspiring for me. But again, yes, much of it has not been proven yet. And so we just have to take it all with a grain of salt and just, go with what we like.
Yeah. It seems that more and more people are turning to the alternatives in the new age, because I believe that what the information in the shows that they have access to now, it has been unprecedented throughout, before in human history. Like any TV now, you get over 700 channels. You have the choice of media is, it's just wow. And there are those who believe that through the telecommunications, even though we're not watching TV or listening to the radio, some of it is being imprinted, because there are certain parts of the brain that we have no idea what it's doing. And is it possible that we're just retrieving this information, putting it into our brain, and because of the life pressures and stress we have today, that this is a way of dealing with stress, not only grief?
I think it's a good point. I had heard many years ago the idea that the internet itself, because we're all putting all of our stuff on it, is like an Akashic records of sorts, that we can all tap into this record of everything that's ever been done. And because, like you said, I mean, it's all out there now.
Yeah.
Somebody was telling me recently, I don't remember who it was, but back in the old days, in 20 years ago or so, you'd go into the metaphysical store and it was like, oh, wow, this is neat. It felt a little spooky or something. And now it's just not that it's not that mystical anymore. We know everything now. The other thing that's freaking me out, that's a little bit along the lines of, I guess, of what you're talking about, that's on my mind a lot lately, is this idea of artificial intelligence. What if we are just churning out all this material, it's going into the cosmic computer, and then later generations are going to be able to use all this material that's out here, because they're already using it to create documents and things. It's pretty kind of creepy. I mean, and kind of strange. And I think that they've done experiments about, the collective consciousness that shifts when, like, let's say we had 5,000 people meditating in a room, it shifts the frequencies around that radius for a particular number of miles, that crime would go down and things like that. But what you're saying is definitely plausible, because we've got all this information and we're all plugged into it. Is it also shifting consciousness? And then now that AI just turned on all of a sudden, I mean, I don't know where this thing's going. It's crazy.
It's scary.
It is.
Dr. Shelley Kaehr is my guest. www.pastlifelady. We'll both be back after this break. Don't go away. Welcome back, everyone. Dr. Shelley Kaehr is our special guest. She has a new book out, Exonation, Past Lives in Ancient Lands and Other Worlds. Her website, pastlifelady.com. As always, Shelley, great having you with us. Thanks for joining us tonight, my dear friend.
It's great to be with you.
Hey, Shelley, tell us about some of the other world stories that you have in your new book. Like, how, okay, past lives on this planet, possible. But other planets?
Yes.
How do we do that? Yeah.
Again, the person has a challenge. We're going to go back to that origin point where it began. And believe it or not, yes, some people believe that that challenge actually began on another planet.
Wow.
So one of the cases in this is a man who's flying around in a spaceship just through the galaxy. There's another one that's really cool. A person was in the Giza Plateau working on the pyramids and was told, do not look over here. But saw something that looked like an escalator going up toward the top of the pyramid. And there was a, quote, God, but they were not supposed to look at it or else they would get punished. And so, it's kind of like an alien Egypt story. That was a weird one. And then people who believe they are working with extraterrestrials. And so there's a journey that I include in the book. If you want to go discuss things with groups that you believe that you are working with, you can rearrange your negotiations with them and things like that.
I often wonder, Shelley, if the X-Files would not have come on TV with the other shows going back to the beginning of the 90s, if we'd be sitting here talking tonight about aliens working with humans, that the pyramids were, according to those who believe it, were created by the extraterrestrials, when archaeology and history say it wasn't aliens, it wasn't anything else, it was the people in Egypt who built the pyramids. And they've been, they show the proof and everything, and yet people still believe that no, that's all wrong, it was the aliens. How do we deal with that as a society?
Well, the bell has been rung, my friend. I don't think we're going to change certain people's minds about that. I guess some people just believe that is the case, When
these people pass on, do you think that these legends or these beliefs will still carry on?
I think they will, because they're still being written about.
Yeah.
The weird thing about the current society that I think about a lot is that this is so different, again, than 20 years ago or even 10 years ago. Everybody's running around with little headphones in their heads. So we're not really communicating as much with each other face to face. And so you don't really know what people are engaging in their content that's on their headphones. You don't know what kind of music they're listening to for sure. You really don't know what kind of books and things they're listening to. But because of all this is available, like we talked about earlier, you just don't know what they might be tuning into. And so
that's the scary part. We don't know, the public, but those behind the curtains, like at Microsoft, like Google, YouTube, and all the corporations that are responsible for putting all this information out there, they know. And in my opinion, they use it for nefarious purposes. Like, I don't believe that the people at Google or any of the other data forces like Microsoft are doing it because they're great people. They all have a reason for doing it. And if you follow the trail, you're going to come to the money aspect. So if you're right, people listen to through their iPads and in their ears, their headsets. We don't know. But the information that they are listening to is helping others make money. And I think that is so wrong. Like the society is being used as guinea pigs in making money for the elite behind the curtains of the digital world.
Well, there's no doubt, they've proven that the algorithms and even the scrolling action is an addictive thing, that you just get hooked on scrolling and scrolling and scrolling.
Yeah.
And so obviously the scrolling is selling something that the consumer needs to purchase. So it's...
I disagree with you there, where the consumer has to purchase. I think there's a lot of subliminal advertising going on here, because I know many people, a lot of my friends' wives would spend money on Amazon like crazy because, oh, it's on the, they sit at home and they scroll and, oh, look. Oh, geez, I'd really like that. Go buy, purchase, buy, purchase, buy, purchase. And what the digital world is doing to the family unit. It's literally compartmentalizing members of the family. Like you go to a restaurant these days, and I know years gone by, you go to a restaurant, you'd see families talking, interacting. Now you go there, mom and dad are on their iPhones, the kids are on their iPhones. They don't even stop to eat. No, that's too long. I think it's deplorable, but that's just me. I'm an old-fashioned guy.
I'm old-fashioned too. I have a friend, one of my best friends. Their family's like that. The two kids and the family, they just everybody's on their device. I'm like, I feel like I'm in an episode of the Jetsons.
Yeah,
over here.
Now
I'm dating myself. Thank you. I want Will Robinson to come back on Lost in Space and save us from all this, Rob. This is crazy.
It is, and unfortunately, Shelley, it's going to get crazier before it starts to get better.
Yes. Everybody's like, put that AI back in the can. Well, it's already out there. I never heard of it until they were already offering subscriptions for this stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't put the stuff back in the can now. It's out
there. No,
it's
just like in the olden days. I'm talking about 5-6 years ago, where people were so afraid that Big Brother was watching. Well, hey, you morons. As soon as you got a passport, guess what? They were watching. As soon as you got a bank card, you know what? Anything to do with your social insurance number, you know what? They're watching. And ironically, it's the people who have something to fear or have something to hide that are afraid of all this.
Yeah.
When it comes to AI, I think that can should have been kept closed. Look what it's doing to our kids. In school, they're going to be using these AI bots to do papers. They're not doing any research. The kid's not going to get any smarter. And what about the schools where they've stopped teaching kids how to write?
Yes.
Like, come on.
Yeah.
Hey, here's a news bulletin for all of you educators out there. If there's a solar flare, guess what? None of these devices work. Boom. Yeah.
Yeah, that could be a real problem.
It can be, and it's only going to affect them and make them think once it happens. And I remember 10 years ago, we had an EMF hit a power station over here in I think it was near, where was it, Craig? Somewhere in Ohio, that knocked out the power, in a vast part of throughout Ontario into Quebec and the northern states. Like we had no power for nearly a week. No telecommunications, no this, no that. It's going to happen again. You see, and I believe that the next terrorist wave will not be bombs. It'll be EMFs that will knock out the communications.
Definitely.
No. Yeah.
Well, they'd already shut down pipelines and stuff,
Yeah.
Different things. Like you can cut off the water supply, the electricity, the pipelines, different things. I mean, it could be a real mess. And then that idea of like all of our knowledge is now being pooled into this big cosmic stew. And then what if the lights go out? Then the people who are the future generations, they're not going to know how to do anything because all they did was read from our database that we're creating for them right now.
It's scary, Shelley. It's scary.
It is.
Years ago, I had a Pastor Harry Walther on the show, and he said, Rob, 666 is not the mark of the devil. I said, well, what is then, Pastor? He said, WWW.
Indeed.
Stand by, Shelley. We got to take our final break. Exonation. Dr. Shelley Kaehr is our guest this hour. She got a new book out, published by the good people at Llewellyn. Past Lives. Oh, you're shameless when it comes to self-promoting, Shelley. I love you. Past Lives in Ancient Lands and Other Worlds. And we'll both be back on the other side as we wrap up this hour here in the X Zone with our shameless Dr. Shelley Kaehr. Hold up the book, Shelley. Come on. Hold up the book. All right.
Here it is, everybody. What's up?
There you go. We'll be back. Don't go away.
So I was watching the X Zone TV channel last night when I was abducted by aliens, and they kept repeating to me over and over again, simultv.com, simultv.com.
What's simultv.com?
That's what I asked them. They had it written on the side of their UFO.
How do you spell that?
UFO.
No, I mean simultv.com.
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 Right. simultv.com.
Interesting that you were abducted by aliens in a simultv.com UFO last night.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Now that you mention it, I remember now last night I was awakened from a deep sleep. My great-grandmother was standing there. She said she come from the hereafter to tell me about simultv.com. She even spelled it out for me. simultv.com, sonny boy.
simultv.com.
simultv.com, sonny boy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Guys, you'll never guess what my psychic guru just told me.
simultv.com.
Exactly. Are you guys psychic too?
Of course.
We all know about simultv.com. simultv.com.
And welcome back, everyone. Don't forget, you can listen to past shows of the X Zone Radio TV show, as well as all the other fine shows that we have here on the X Zone Broadcast Network, simply by going to www.xzbn.net. Dr. Shelley Kaehr is our guest. Her website is pastlifelady.com. Congratulations on your new book once again, Shelley. But I have to ask you, in your book, you also talk about the future and how people can access their future. My question to you, my dear friend, is if the future hasn't happened yet, how can you access something that hasn't happened? This is the same question I ask psychics.
It's really out in the field of possibilities. So this is something I've been doing my entire career. Is people have the problem. We've talked about that before. We're working it out. We figured out where in the past it originated from. So the last thing I like to do with people is to take them out into their current life, into a future event in their current life, which again is part of the multiverse. It hasn't happened yet, but a place where they're happy, where they're healthy, and where whatever this problem is just not there anymore. They've solved it. It's wonderful. And life is good. And so, the happy place is there, and they can go there.
But does it really solve the problem, or is it the placebo effect?
That is another one we don't know. Right.
So how can we sell something we really don't know how it works? Are we leading people down the garden path?
It still is effective. I mean, if you go out into a future place, and if I say to you, okay, well, how did you get to this level of happiness, or how did you solve this problem? And they'll go, well, first I read a book, and then I went to the seminar, and they'll start mapping out the steps they took. Then when they leave the session, though, they have to actually take action. And I think this is one of the big things that's been missing with a lot of the power of now and, manifestation stuff. I mean, we can't just think about it. We then have to actually go out and take a physical action that's beyond the private session inner journey by doing something in the outer world that supports the fact that we believe in the change or the idea that we've come up with in this guided imagery.
Wouldn't it be a lot easier for the person to stand in front of the mirror and say, all right, this is the problem. I caused the problem. I know what the problem is. It's up to me to solve it. Wouldn't that be the easiest solution for everybody? That way the problem is really solved in the real world and not in the mythical world of tomorrow.
Well, there it is, It
Food for thought.
It's true, but it's still helpful for some.
Dr. Shelley Kaehr, thank you very much for joining us tonight. And once again, congratulations on your book entitled Past Lives in the Ancient Lands and Other Worlds. And X Zone Nation is available by Llewellyn, I imagine, all over the place. Knowing you, Shelley, hold up your book again.
I will do it one last time, yes. Shirley MacLaine sent this to her mailing list.
Really?
Yes.
Who's Shirley MacLaine anyway?
Yes,
oh, wait a minute. She's a has-been actress that used to act in a couple of movies with Clint Eastwood. Right. Got it.
He wrote some great books.
Shelley, take care.
Okay.
X Zone Nation, I'll be back on the other side of the news at 6.5 minutes past the top of the hour. So we continue here in the X Zone from our broadcast center and studios in St. Catharines, Ontario, Canada. I'm Rob McConnell. Don't go away.
Question: what is the name of the unique blend of coffee you get that has been formulated by a neurologist, a neurobiologist, and a pharmaceutical chemist? Answer: you get Beautiful Mind Coffee, a unique coffee blend that tastes great and has herbal ingredients that your brain will love, and it is not just coffee, it's brainalicious. Dr. Rathbone, Dr. Jang, and Dr. Winslow, the scientific team that created Beautiful Mind Coffee, decided to collaborate on a coffee focusing on brain health. As for those herbal ingredients found in Beautiful Mind Coffee, Dr. Rathbone, Dr. Jang, and Dr. Winslow, utilizing their combined extensive scientific research background, worked with many natural and herbal products until the exact formulation that is found in Beautiful Mind Coffee was created. With a unique scientific formula not found in any other coffee being sold or served, Beautiful Mind Coffee is the only coffee blend that contains 3 herbal ingredients found to aid in boosting your daily mental clarity and focus. Every cup of Beautiful Mind Coffee contains scientifically formulated amounts of maca root powder, green tea extract, and American ginseng, all supporting good brain health. Taking care of your brain's health now can help delay or prevent the onset of cognitive dysfunction, including dementia, Alzheimer's, and more general memory loss as you get older, just by enjoying the delicious flavor of our roasted coffee and herbal ingredients found exclusively in Beautiful Mind Coffee. Did you know that cognitive dysfunction also refers to deficits in attention, verbal and nonverbal learning, short-term and working memory, visual and auditory processing, problem-solving, processing speed, and motor functioning? For more on Beautiful Mind Coffee, the 3 scientists who formulated Beautiful Mind Coffee, and more details on the 3 unique herbal ingredients in Beautiful Mind Coffee, visit www.beautifulmindcoffee.ca. Beautiful Mind Coffee is now available online at amazon.ca and amazon.com. To order Beautiful Mind Coffee, visit www.beautifulmindcoffee.ca today.